We are live. Welcome. My name is Jay Perez. I am joined by my esteemed guests, Duro Stevenson and Colt Spark, two PBC aficionados, and today we're going to be talking about some of the happenings going around PBC plus what is coming up this weekend. Duro, Colt, how are you guys doing today?
I'm feeling good. I'm very
Yeah,
happy to
feeling
be
great,
on
man.
here.
What about you?
I'm doing all right, boys. The main topic we have is this past weekend, one of the biggest fights of the year between Kai Herrera and Yo-Yo Crawford ended in a shocking, dominant fashion. Kai Herrera is now the undisputed champion. Duro, I'll start with you. Uh, Obviously, a shocking result. What did you think about the fight going in, and what surprised you?
So, what happened was I was in the corner of Yo-Yo Crawford. I was cornering him. VC. It was via VC because I got kicked. I coached Aaron. I was in the corner of Aaron Progray. So after that fight, I went backstage and I got kicked. Right, whatever. So it was the first round. What happened? I had Pruitt. Pruitt was in the corner of Yo-Yo. I had him stream the fight in VC so I could like give Yo-Yo advice. And then when Kai Herrera landed that overhand and when he dropped, I was like, oh shit! Like it was like, oh shit! What the fuck at moment? Because I didn't even I didn't expect for Kai Herrera to come out. So, because what Kai did during that entire fight, he brought the fight to Yo-Yo. He made like his pressure was so overwhelming, and I think I seen this Twitter post. This guy Blockspin A Smith, he predicted exactly what was gonna happen, but I didn't know Kai. I didn't know, but first. I saw Cable in Kai Herrera's corner, and I was like, So, but yeah, it is what it is. It was the last few rounds. Yo-Yo Crawford, he had a valiant effort. It was a very valiant few rounds for Yo-Yo Crawford, but Kai Herrera ultimately did enough to secure the victory, and that's what happened. To be honest.
And Cole, you're obviously on call for this fight. What did you see that shocked you? Because obviously you did the fight analysis for this one. What did you think about the matchup going in, and what surprised you?
I expected it to be way closer, and Kai's grown as a fighter so much in this past year. Obviously when he started out the year, these two fighters fought before, and Yo-Yo dominated. But a completely change of events. Kai looked so prepared, especially having one of the best players in the game, Cable, in his corner. Big benefit. Which Yo-Yo, I expected a lot more from him. He didn't look horrible, but he just seemed too pressured, seemed too nervous, and I don't know. I wasn't able to attend any of the press conferences or weigh-ins, but it seems like Kai was in his head. Which obviously repping Mexico. Mexico has produced a lot of good fighters in PBC. For example, Antonio Alvarez and Bibi, two undisputed champs. Which you know, Kai, repping them, he did very well, and I'm really excited to see how his next fight goes. I'd like to see him fight South Oliveira next if he gets that title shot.
South Oliveira. I'm not sure about a South Oliveira fight because I don't think South Oliveira is gonna fight in PBC for a little while. Yeah, I think he's gonna still be sidelined. Possibly for the West. He's probably going to be sitting out for winter as well. But the most likely fight for Kai Herrera, Kai is definitely not fighting again in 23. We're going to see him back in winter or spring, but the most realistic fight for Kai right now, I think he called out Toby Bivol, right? He called out Bivol.
Yeah, that would not be a good fight, in my opinion.
I mean,
Well, is it because Toby isn't ready
Toby needs
yet?
to prove needs to prove
It,
that he's a top three contender.
he's improved, yeah, but I think he needs to get one more win. He looks really good in that crocodile fight, but
One more win, and that would be sufficient in
yeah,
his quest to become a champion again. Because people forget Toby Bivol was actually a champion back in the day.
yeah.
That's wild. Yeah, and let's also talk about the co-main event because Game Kid Chisora and Still What did you think of his performance that night, and what do you expect to see in the future for him? We'll start with Colt.
You know, Game Kid, obviously he's improved a lot as well, When you saw him fight Dan Bivol, he made Dan Bivol look like an old washed up fighter, which, obviously isn't as good as he used to be. Game Kid, when he was training for that Dan fight, that's when he started getting a lot better. And you can tell he's improved a lot, especially when he fought Tyson James. He's improved a lot. And the bad part is that Aaron, he looked so bad out there. And the fight before, he fought Cable, who absolutely destroyed him. Which, Aaron didn't train for that fight at all. He fought on like 10-hour notice, which I respect him for fighting on that. I don't know why Modoc didn't back out earlier, but Game Kid looks very good. I'd like to see him fight an undisputed champ next, maybe King Ryan. That'd be a good fight. But, he fought very well.
What do you think, Duro?
Uh, I have a very hear me out real quick because what I'm about to say may be controversial. I do think Game Kid Chisora's performance was horrible. It was dreadful. I think it was his worst performance since the Tyson James fight. No, because here's the thing. Aaron fought on a 10-hour notice. He's an EU fighter. He fought on 2 bars. Probably had a high FPS due to the audience. Because we all know PBC lag is one of the worst things to fight in. Like, PBC for anyone is hell. And I can say that from experience. Because, like, in my last fight, I got rocked.
You
My
definitely got
last fight.
shafted in that
But,
fight.
I think Aaron he was a valiant. He tried his best, but Game Kid should have finished a guy like that, in my opinion. I was kind of surprised that Game Kid was not able to get the job done.
Yeah, I understand. But now we're looking towards next week. Uh, we are going to be live from Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California, for a big fight night main event between Furious Vamp and McWiFi Oliveira. Obviously, some controversy on whether or not Oliveira deserves that title shot. Duro, what do you think about this fight? And give me some keys to win for McWiFi.
I feel like the decision to have McWiFi Oliveira step in was very justified. McWiFi was the next highest ranking available contender because, of course, Jaden Spark pulled out. Austin Lee probably isn't gonna fight. Austin Lee is probably gonna aim to defend his Ring Magazine championship in around late 2023. McWiFi was just the only available contender. Well, the only reasonable contender. When I say reasonable, I mean like fights that I would make sense. So can say what they want about McWiFi, but I love McWiFi. I love seeing McWiFi Oliveira fight. I'm very excited for this fight. Darius Vamp, both of them have been in camp. Darius Vamp is in the best shape of his career. And overall, I think it's going to be an amazing fight. The keys to win for McWiFi Oliveira. Thing about Furious, let's just say, he has a lot of power he in both hands. And I've sparred Furious. And trust me, man, he's a powerhouse. He will bulldoze through anybody. And that's what he's done over the past few months. Furious went from the went from being an overlooked contender to now being a possible champion. So McWiFi has to be a bit wary about the power of Furious Vamp. Overall, McWiFi, I think in his last fight he gassed out way too quick versus Buford Chimes, and that's exactly how Buford got the win. McWiFi gassed way too early. He didn't know when to. He didn't know how to pick his shots, but McWiFi does have a fair shot versus Furious Vamp. As for who I have winning, I think it's a bit too close to call, too early to call, but it's gonna be a good fight.
I'll
Yeah,
talk about it next.
yeah, you can make your take on it. Also want to ask you. Obviously, McWiFi can draw big. That's why he is main eventing once again. Uh, do you think this is his last chance at a belt, Colt? And what are the expectations for Furious? What does he need to do to prove that he deserves to get that next step up into superstardom?
Um, McWifi, I don't think he deserves another title shot. He looked really bad in that Buford fight. Um, Not saying it's because he's bad. I just think he should get one more fight before the title, which I think he should bring back
But
his
you have
old
to
style.
understand. You have to understand. Everybody pulled out. Everyone was
I mean, you
not
still had
available.
other,
Everyone had their own like everyone had their own shit to do. Basically, and
you
McWiFi
still
was
had
the
other
next available highest
great
contender.
middleweight
You know what
fighters.
I'm saying? I mean,
I
but
mean,
I think it's unfair to say McWiFi doesn't deserve. Well, all right, let's agree with this. He looked bad in his Buford Chimes fight. He looked horrible. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That was the worst McWiFi Oliveira we've seen. But at the same time, everyone pulled out. Like no one was available. There was no other sensible fight but McWiFi
Tank,
Oliveira.
you have Tank Lopez, you have Wizrick, you still have
But
Crutoy. It
before the
doesn't.
fight was announced, Tank Lopez fought Uni Santa Cruz. That was like Uni Tank. His next fight is definitely going to be for a belt. I think it's going to be for a belt. He wants that Austin Lee fight in December. But at the time, before they announced that Jaden Spark had pulled out, Tank Lopez wasn't highly ranked. He wasn't even on the divisional rankings. I think
I mean,
it made sense for McWiFi. Of course, it wasn't practical, but it made sense for him to step in for Jaden Spark.
I mean,
Austin.
if you disagree, then you disagree. I'm just saying my opinion. You're not gonna change my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, like I was saying though, um, I do think Fierce will be able to pull it out. I think it'll be a close fight. I've sparred Furies. Fury seems way more prepared. McWiFi, he has been sparring, but Furies has just improved so much. I think his style will be able to counter McWiFi's style, which I don't know which type of style he'll do, because he has that um he has lots of different types of fighting styles, which Furious will have to see which one he uses, and he'll have to counter it. But I think Furious, knowing that he's been training way longer recently, I think he'll win the fight. If Mick Wi-Fi does win, I won't be completely surprised because I'll admit he's a pretty good fighter. You still can't disrespect him, but in my opinion, he doesn't deserve this. But it is what it is. I can't control what they think.
Jay, what's your take on this? Because we haven't heard much from you. I just wanted to know what was your take.
So I like both guys. I do think McGuire did have a genuinely bad fight against Buford Chimes. Not to say he's bad or anything. However, I do think this was the reason I think this fight was booked was because there was just no one else able to do this. And props to McWiFi for stepping in. It requires a good camp from him. He needs to keep the distance, get away from the power. He's a very, very talented fighter. It would be a big upset if he won. I do think it's a much closer fight than what the odds will suggest when we go in. However, I do think Furious does have the advantage. I think he's more technically sound. I think he's more ready, and we'll see this Saturday. It's a very, very, very good fight. Yeah, and what you
So,
said, Cole, I know maybe he doesn't exactly deserve it, but at the end of the day, Furious needed a fight. Spark pulled out. I mean, Furious needs to get a quality win under his belt, and I think this is the one to do it. So that's why this fight was booked.
And I'll say
yeah,
it one
and
more time. I do respect him as a fighter. I just personally think there's other great middleweight contenders, like I said, like Tank Lopez, Wizard,
oh
who did
yeah,
deserve it.
Tank Lopez is definitely up there as one of the most entertaining fighters right now. I would like to see Tank Lopez if he's able to beat Austin Lee in a few months' time. Then I would like to see Tank Lopez take on Furious Vamp in a title unification bout.
You don't know what we do need to see? We need to see that Saint versus Buford rematch. That's just one thing I want to get off the
I don't
top.
know, cause Saint he had a little bit of a dry patch. I've sparred Saint for the subsequent updates. Um, but he's been training with Zay Santa Cruz, who's a top player. He's at the apex of beta right now. I haven't seen much of Saint, but I don't really think it would be worth all the hype. I mean, they had a very close fight. I think it was on the main card event, Tony Alvarez versus Dan Bivol. But the first fight was pretty close. But I think the second fight would actually be lackluster. I don't really. I don't think we're gonna see Saint Santa Cruz for much longer, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really depends on if he
Yeah, but Jay,
practices
what's your take
good.
on this? What's your take? What's your take on a possible Saint Santa Cruz versus Buford Chimes rematch?
I think we would need to wait to see what he does against Pruitt Smith first of all, because obviously that is one of the most compelling fights in a very long time. But I'm very excited for that one as well. I mean, I saw Santa Cruz last fight; he looked very good, and now I'd be excited to see that. But first, I think the main talking point would have to be Beaver versus Pruitt. I think that division is absolutely crazy with the talent in that one. I mean, you got Saint, Buford, Poppy, Lee, Pruitt. Pruitt's number 5. Furious Fam is number 6. Tank is number 7. That is a hard division, and I think there's a lot of good fights down the road.
Yeah, and we're gonna be moving on to this weekend. This weekend we saw the Misfits card, KSI, the Prime card. I must say, KSI versus Tommy Fury. Obviously, we weren't really impressed with that one. We weren't really impressed with that one. It was a bit lackluster fight, both the main event and the co-main. I think the main card actually carried that event. But Jay, what do you think is the state of YouTube boxing following KSI's defeat last night? Or no, yeah, 2 nights ago.
So, I've never held a good opinion for YouTube boxing. I think it's degrading to the sport, and I think it's a pure cash grab. That being said, there was some entertainment, especially in the Dennis Paul front. That I thought that was peak television. However, Dylan Dennis is a cowardly bitch. At the end of the day, I didn't like both guys. And in regards to the main event, yeah, Fury got robbed. I mean, KSI got robbed. Whatever. I mean, I really don't care up to that point. I don't like the concept of YouTube boxing to begin with, and I think this reinforces it. That it's a really messy situation, and at the end of the day, I mean, besides some of Jake Paul's fights, I mean, I really haven't been impressed with much of the YouTube boxing scene, especially the tag team shit. I hate that so much. What is your thoughts on it, Colt?
Um, I do think Tommy Fury won that YouTube fight. I didn't really watch most of it, and I won't go back and watch it because it was a shit fight. YouTube boxing will die, so it will die eventually. So just get the fight that everyone's been wanting to see, that Jake Paul versus KSI. Let KSI get knocked out because I know he'll get knocked out by Jake Paul, and then just call it off because he'll die after that. A lot of people were talking about YouTube MMA, which that
No,
would be
What
horrible,
the
but it'd
fuck?
be entertaining. I
please
it wouldn't it
no.
wouldn't I know it'd be like horrible, but like it'd be entertaining at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be very entertaining to see Conor McGregor knock out um, Jake Paul, but it still would be quality fighting. At the end of the day, if you're like a real fan of boxing, then you're really here to see the best in the world fight. And if the main attraction is going to be a bunch of YouTubers fighting each other, that obviously would be somewhat off-putting.
And I think we're gonna end it here. Thanks, thank you guys for watching our short take. This is Duro Pro Gray, Colt Spark, and Jay Perez signing off.
Peace,
Peace.
guys.